Hello. I wonder how you've been getting on with the creative prompts. Number one. I've had a very, very creative week and I've quite enjoyed it. And so I'm going to chat a bit more to you about what I got, and hopefully you've had lots of exciting things as well. We had two prompts. One was mistake and the other was flying. And one of the people following me on Instagram actually pointed out that she couldn't make out what one of the words was because I had my finger over it and it was the word mistake. I was literally covering it up, so mistakes crop up everywhere, don't they? So this shawl I'm wearing, I literally called All My Mistakes shawl. Here it is. Now, why would I call something that? And it's because I knitted it without a pattern. I knitted it on virtually no budget with colours that I happen to have in my leftovers of yarn. And so it had everything in a sense going against it. But if you're a knitter, you know there's been a real fashion for having patterns coming out, and people knit themselves shawls, huge sort of scarves, triangular scarves, and they are phenomenal. They're works of art. They are a huge range of different stitches and styles and a wide range of colours, and sometimes really exciting mixtures of colours and textures of wool, and I thought these were amazing. And then I looked at them and I priced them and I thought, okay, if I bought that wool, and the pattern was not usually that much, but the wool would run to maybe £70 to £150, and I thought, that is not my budget. So I, as I say, knitted, just literally cast on a few stitches because you start off small, didn't have a pattern and just increased a bit, and I did a mixture of whatever stitch I felt like. So this is just plain garter stitch. See if I touch the phone, will it realise I want to be close up. Garter stitch, that wibbly wobbly stitch, then you have the V shape of the knit purl, and on it goes. And I just changed the colour of the wool when I felt like it and mix colours together. Quite often these are a mixture. You can see that's got pink and grey knitted together, held together as we say. And I just kept going and then decreased at the end. And this, I must show you, is one of my favourite wools. This is from Hedgehog Fibres in Ireland, and they do the most astonishing coloured mixes with amazing names. And then at the end I unified it all by the one I had the most colour off, the pink, and knitted an I-cord all the way around it. And I'm pleased with it. It's warm. It's astonishing how warm it is to have something, just that little space around your neck, that little gap whenever you've got a coat on. And it keeps me warm. I've also sometimes just had a quick compliment from someone who doesn't know me, where I've literally stepped off a bus and somebody getting onto the bus in that split second of crossing over has said, "Oh, I love your scarf," and that's just a complete joy. So maybe it's time to knit another one for winter once we get past the summer. And that's all my mistakes. That's just knitting as a creative act, but there are so many other ways in which we can be creative. I'm going to be talking a bit more about painting as well, and about words, and there'll be something probably for you of interest to you. If you're not a knitter especially, don't be put off. So mistakes. I think we can honour a mistake as an intention, and that means that you notice that something you're painting, making, writing is going awry, you go back to it and you say, okay, well, let's work with that. How could that be used? And sometimes when you're painting, a little flick of the brush just makes a pleasant surprise that you hadn't intended. So it's a mistake in that you didn't intend to do it, but actually it's adding greatly to what you're making. So look out for those happy accidents as we're making. I thought about the word mistake, and I thought about doing a pun on it, like mistake. So I thought about it being like a Miss World competition between meats, and there's a steak at the front, and in one, like a little film strip, I imagined that she says, a cartoon strip, she says, "I want to work with children and animals," and then the next scene is a dog running off with Miss Steak in its mouth. So that's just a wee funny abstract thought that came to mind. Now, I think flying probably was more productive for me this week. And flying made me think about the way I treat my canvases sometimes is like I call it a fly through or a fly over. And it's where I take my camera, my just mobile phone, and literally aim it above the picture and fly it through, going closer and further away, and just seeing what that's like. Because I think every picture is a landscape. It has a physical layout. And if it's textured especially, then it has a lot more depth, literal depth, physical depth and so forth, especially if you're working with a large textile piece. And also every picture is a portrait. It's what the artist has noticed, what the creator has noticed. And so that says a lot about the creator. Even if it's a picture of somebody else that's been painted, it's saying something about the person who made it as well. And I also think about breadcrumbs, that sense that whenever you start to make something, you have this sense of something you start to do. This is relating to mistake, back to this. You start to make something and it starts to be different, or you just start with one vague idea like a colour and a shape, but as you make it and in the making, more ideas come to mind, and even, as I say, those mistakes can be glorious ones that take you in a completely different direction that is actually more fruitful. And if you read anything at all about art history, you'll find that that has been a trail well trodden by very many famous artists where they have been trying to do something and they've got something else instead. Funnily enough, in science and science discoveries, some amazing things that we now take for granted happened because somebody was doing one thing and they got a different result, or something intervened, or the product didn't turn out quite what they thought. So for example, we have sticky notes. See, I have some here, which started out as a glue that didn't quite work. It was slight, but it wasn't enough. But of course it's perfect for sticking a little note up for a little while and then quickly ripping it off once you've used the note and the information on it. So I have fly-throughs on my Instagram posts, which are on Comma and Co. And I'll put the name up on the screen so you can see it. And I encourage you to have a look there. I post occasionally things I'm making myself, but more often I have in my stories, I have lots of people who are inspiring me, where I've seen something and gone, ah, and I think they've done so beautifully and I want to inspire others. I come back to you refreshed by freshly baked lemon cake, hot out of the oven with some coffee. I like that kind of creativity. And I want to give you a couple of quick tips for creativity. I think what has rewarded me and helped me this week to be more creative than normal is that I've set up a proper space. I had a table which I was using with a computer for study and writing and so on, and I put it into a space where I can be a bit more messy and have art materials around. And just in doing that, I think it helped my creativity to go, okay, I've got space, I've got somewhere that I can sit down and I'm ready to go. I don't have to spend hours tidying everything away. The second thing is to get art materials you secretly crave. These are particular, if I hold it up close, will you be able to see? Not really, it's not good at focusing this camera. But they are pens, markers, Winsor Newton markers, and they have two different tips. One is a pointy one is one of those nice big thick nibs that you can make a thick line and a thin line, or just do a flow in a certain way that gives you a mixture of both. And I find these brilliant. I kind of saw them when I went looking for some more canvases and so forth, and I just thought, I really could do with these because their colour is already mixed, ready to go. And I'm so used to writing with pens that a pen for me is more natural than maybe for some people a brush would be much more natural to them because they've all their life been a painter. But this has been fantastic for me, drawing out designs when I'm thinking in rough form. And so you will know yourself if you go into an art supply store, what is the thing that you feel drawn towards? Is it coloured inks? Is it oil paints? Is it watercolours? Is it a stamper? Is it paper? Is it, what is it? And actually try and afford getting something, because it will, if it's something you're naturally interested in, you know, it's going to reward. It's going to be a tool that you find useful. Okay. The other thing, of course, is always a book for me. And I have been looking at the work of Emily Pyle, who is a painter in England, based in England, and she brought out a book which is called Start Painting Now. Emily Pyle, Sarah Moore. Sarah Moore is her sister. And discover your artistic potential. And that is what the book sets out to do. Now, Emily Pyle paints, the cover will give you an idea. Very, very, very bright, which I like. Saturated colours, huge canvases, I mean wall-sized. Here's her painting one. Get what I mean? Yeah. Very joyful. And this book kind of steps you through what could hold you back and gives you little projects to do. Here's something small, and along the way comments. And the two sisters are quite different. One is much more open and instinctive, and the other is more thoughtful and more interested in words. And the balance then works out that you get the best of both. So I encourage you to borrow or buy this book. If you're going to work through it, obviously you buy it, but you can probably find a copy at your library, as I did. And it will, I think, inspire you and give you ideas for little projects. And definitely if you're someone who is scared to do art in a way, you know, just finds it frightening, this book will really get rid of that fear for you, will give you play things to do. And I mean, they're at the back, having a little birthday dress up. And so those are what I've been up to with my prompts. And I hope you've had fun as well, and that the new ones coming up will be good for you as well. I think what I'm going to do is, instead of having 2 or 3 a week, is have it more like 1 a week. And then that gives me time to think of some things to make or come back with some ideas. And you've got time to make as well, and tell me your ideas in the comments. So have fun being creative, and I'll see you in the next challenge. Bye for now.